Donald Trump said in a recent filing that he's going to ignore any future deadlines or proceedings in the DC election subversion case. You may have heard something like that going around. So, is it true? The answer is sort of. Let's go step by step. You might remember that just a few days ago, Judge Tanya Chutkan had rejected a motion by the Trump's team to dismiss the entire case based on presidential immunity. Following that decision, Trump's team notified Judge Tanya Chutkan of their intention to appeal the ruling. And right after that, they filed this. In this motion, Trump's team states that, in their opinion, their decision to appeal automatically strips Judge Tanya Chutkan's court of any jurisdiction on the matter until at least the appeal is decided. More specifically, they call this type of stay, which is basically hitting the pause button on something, mandatory and automatic. This seems to be nothing more but another one of the many delay tactics that we've gotten used to by now, but it's actually one that could add a little bit of time unless the courts decide to act quickly in the context of a trial that's scheduled to start in March. The appeal is taking place, and while we don't know exactly what the Court of Appeal is going to say about presidential immunity, what the Court of Appeals decided last week on presidential immunity, this time in a civil case against Trump, is any indication, Trump's case of winning that argument are less than excellent. And of course, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that should the Court of Appeals side with Chutkan and reject Trump's appeal, he's going to take that decision all the way to the Supreme Court. Of course, the Supreme Court would have to agree to hear the case, but that is technically not an impossibility because the question of presidential immunity is an important one, and the question of a presidential immunity and criminal liability is an untested one. The Supreme Court has heard and decided on cases of presidential immunity when it comes to civil liability, but not when it comes to criminal liability. Now, back to the original question. Is it true that Trump said he's going to ignore proceedings and deadlines and simply stop participating in the trial? The answer is not quite. He certainly doesn't have the authority to ignore court orders, and in this motion, he's not even saying he will. The motion simply says that Trump assumes that all proceedings have been paused and that he will operate accordingly, absent further order from the court. So what that means is that if the court says, we'll move forward, what Trump can do is appeal that decision, even file an emergency injunction, but what he cannot do is simply ignore the decision of the court.